Discover Help presents Stress-Free Living with Ray Samich and Mr. Stress-Free Ratanjit S. Sandhi. This audio program is an unscripted and unrehearsed conversation between Ray and Ratanjit. It is shared with you in hope of adding value to your life. We encourage you to listen to this program in its entirety to receive the full impact of its message. Sit back, relax, open your heart, mind, and soul to this edition of Stress-Free Living.
Welcome to Stress-Free Living. I'm Ray Samich, and I'd like to introduce everybody to my dear friend, radio co-host, longtime colleague, and my spiritual brother, Ratanjit Sandhi. Ratanjit, how are you this fine day?
Wonderful, Ray. How are you? How was your Christmas?
Christmas was very nice, thank you. Had everybody together, all of the kids and grandkids, and it was very, very much a grateful day. There's a new song out. If people haven't heard this yet, it's a beautiful song by Andrea Bocelli, who's a very well-known singer, but he did it with his son and with his daughter. It's called The Greatest Gift. And it's all about the greatest gift of love. And we played that song together as a family and tried to make that impression. Even as the youngsters were opening up the gifts in their hands, we want to let them know that the greatest gift of all is love. So it was a very, very special day. And I thank you for asking. And I know you have a house full of people from gathering from across the country as well.
Yes, we had a wonderful company, and everybody was very happy to be with us. So it was
Very nice.
Very grateful for that.
So this brings us to the last holiday of the year, or maybe the first holiday of the year, depending how you look at it. I guess officially it's the first. It's New Year's, and we want to wish everybody a very happy, blessed, grateful, joyous New Year's. But what I'd like to talk about, Ratanjit, is not just to be cute. It really is, I believe, a topic that is worthy of discussion, because of all the people that I know, of all the 20, 30, 40-year-olds, let me first say that I think older people who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I think they always have said, boy, time flies by. It gets old, it gets faster, and it goes by faster every single year. And I can't believe it's another new year. I can't believe it's another decade. I remember back in the 70s or the 80s or whatever it is. And we all talk about how quick the time goes by as we get older. But even the younger people, those in their 20s, 30s, 40s today, are saying the time is flying by. And the weeks turn into months. And before you know it, it's another January 1st. And it seems like you just had another January 1st, even as a young adult. And so I really wonder, the difference between changing the calendar November 30th or December 31st, does it really matter? Is it really, we get depressed because we don't accomplish what we want to in any given week or month or year. And so we kind of make a big holiday, big deal out of January 1st, but does it really matter anymore? Or are we living in a time where we should just accept that time is flying by and don't even try to set goals for a week or a month or a year, because it flies by so quickly we probably can't get them done anyway. And then we get discouraged and depressed. So is New Year's and the resolution and the fresh start and the new year, new you, and all of that hype, is that even still, should that be part of our mindset anymore? Or are we past that through our technological advancements?
There are many aspects of that. It's a very interesting topic, but deep topic. So suddenly, nature has given us various, every day ends up in a night, and then there is a new day starts. There is we have created a calendar which is there is a week. So at the end of a whole week, we are Friday, then we have a Saturday, Sunday, 2 days off. And then you have a new month and then ultimately a new year. So all these are basically put you in a situation that you need to stop and you need to start fresh. So when you have a day in the beginning, when you get up in the morning, and if you are carrying on exactly the same way which you carried on yesterday, and there is nothing new, your mind is not challenged. You are basically in the semi-coma. You are basically doing the routine things, and your mind, knowingly or unknowingly, we have formed a habit of constantly thinking about either the past, worry about our future, and constantly whether this is going to happen to us. So we have a wish list, and your whole one day from second day is no different. 1 week from second week is no different. So there is no newness which we bring into our life as it has become routine. And now what has happened in our life, everything is predictable. Every day is predictable. So we are going through routine, and routine actually puts your creative mind requires challenge to wake up. And it is only in the challenge when we solve difficult problem, then this mind feeds it, and you suddenly come back in the present, and you basically take hold of time in your life. Otherwise, you basically become a somebody who is sleeping, who is in a coma, and life passes by, right?
See, I agree with you 100%. And I think a lot of what you said just kind of supports what my question is, because technology around us, the world we live in today, allows us to do an awful lot of things on autopilot. Maybe they're habits, maybe that's the better word for them, but I mean, we live now with so much technology around us, so much routine around us, that we don't have to think about a lot of things that we do every day. It's automated around us. We get up, we go through our routine in the bathroom to wake up in the morning. I mean, it's the same things every day. We get dressed, we go in our car, the car basically drives itself to where we're going. We spend the whole day, if we're working or for whatever we do to spend our days, we pretty much do the same thing every day, a little variation, but pretty much the same tasks on a daily basis, just maybe a different order. We come home, we pretty much do the same thing when we get home, and there's some maybe leisure time in the evening, maybe there's television time, or maybe we go to a meeting, or we work in our home office like I do at night, and then you go to bed, and then you get up and start the whole thing again. And even the weekends are automated. There's certain things we do every Saturday, certain things we do every Sunday. And before you know it, those days are over and you're back to the new week. So that's kind of my point, Ratanjit. It seems like we've advanced ourselves technologically so far ahead, so we can do things now so easily, so much on autopilot, but we've lost the thrill of the game in the process. We've lost the creativity to be able to, I don't know when the last time I actually asked, what can I do? Or what should I do now? I really don't even know when I've asked myself that question. Because there's already a list that has been written for me or by me that says, when you do have a moment, you have to do this, and this. Are we killing ourselves? I mean, are we going through life and losing the point because we are so much in a box of a routine?
You know, what happens is we basically consider a life to be good if we have a routine life, predictable life. A paycheck is coming and you can depend on it. You have a house which is so you have designed to get there so that life becomes predictable, life becomes certain. So all our efforts are towards that. Whereas when if you take a vacation and if you go to the same place, you are basically used to it. Until you explore the new horizons, until you go to something which you have never seen, unpredictable, you do not, and although it is kind of challenging and risky, because initially you say, no, I don't want to go there. It is something which I don't know, something may happen. But ultimately, when you come back from it, so many new things which you have experienced and you have learned, and that experience stays with you and enriches your life. So you have to mentally challenge the situation in order for us to engage our creative brain, engage our life to be giving us the more internal peace and happiness. Otherwise, we are going to convert this life into routine and we are going to bore to death. And half of our systems in our body become slow because we are so bored, we are into routine. And all our sicknesses, all these things ultimately develop because we do not challenge our human system to be ultimately operating, giving us a new horizon, new highs, and new experiences, right?
Isn't there a crazy irony in that whole thing, Ratanjit, that we're all trying to find a simpler way, an easier way, a less challenging way of life?
Yes.
We think the solution is in simplicity and in making things as easy as possible. So we put as many features now into our phones as we've talked about this. I mean, a room full of computers 40 years ago can't do what this little thing can do. And then you now have a watch connected to your phone so that you have access to everything in the phone on your wrist now. You're supposed to sleep with it all night, so it tells you how well you're sleeping and how well you're breathing at night. I mean, we do all of this amazing automation to make things so simple, so routinely, and then you've just said that's maybe the worst thing that could be happening to us if we don't use it right, because we're not challenged anymore. So we become so bored with our routines that we stifle all our creativity. It's what do we ask for? What do we want? Right? I mean, I know there's an old adage, be careful what you ask for. We've asked for all the simplicity and now we've lost the challenge and creativity of life.
Absolutely. I have a very close friend who is a very successful entrepreneur. He has started many, many businesses and they're very successful. So one of the thing in his life, which he does routinely, every single day, he takes on a topic which he doesn't know anything about. So he studies that and learns more about that topic. And as a consequence, he sees a different way of utilizing that understanding, that knowledge, that into a totally different routine. Now, when you live with that knowledge, somebody who is expert, they live with that knowledge all their life. And very few of those ever start a new idea, a new business. But this guy, when he goes from a situation where he doesn't know anything about this technology or this science or this fact, when he learns about this fact, and his creative mind constantly thinks, how do I utilize this? And it ends up into a business. Of course, he can hire people who are expert at that technology or that knowledge. They can help us. But his mind, creative mind, asks this question: can I utilize this know-how, this knowledge into this new routine? And this person is so interesting. He's never bored. His health is on the peak. He always creates new, and another thing which he does, he's always finds somebody who he does not know and wants to learn from them, their experience, their life, who is a student of life in many aspects of things. As a consequence, he's very enriched. Ray?
Well, it sounds like he has found a way to solve the boredom. I would love to talk with him about this topic. Does he see January 1st as a fresh start to do what he didn't do the year before? Or does he look at it as just kind of another day in the routine of life, going, another day to change the calendar and then just keep doing the same old thing? I mean, is his same old thing everything you've described, and he still gets lost in the years, or by doing what you're suggesting, what you're saying he does, is that actually keeping every year fresh, every month fresh, every day fresh?
So obviously, he's looking forward to a new day because his commitment to learning something new every day is gifted to him in a new day. So, and same thing, he probably has a similar situation for every week or every month and every year. So he has different targets that this year I'm going to do these things. And so every year he sets up these amazing missions rather than goals. And as a consequence of that, he opens himself, his mind, his creativity to accept absolutely something which he never knew existed. So go ahead.
I like one of the things you just said: missions, not just goals, but missions. Maybe we have to take a break. Maybe when we take this next break, when we come back, we'll talk about that. Goals are something that we seem to set, pretty easily, fluidly, and we almost accept them if we hit them, and if we don't hit them, it's not the end of the world. When you fail at a mission, I still feel pretty badly about that. When I take on a mission, I think I give it a lot more attention to try to be successful at it. So maybe that's part of the solution in there that we've stumbled on. When we come back in just a moment, we're going to talk about setting a mission or a series of missions, maybe for 2023. This is Ray Samich. I'm here with Ratanjit and Stress-Free Living, trying to reduce our stress despite all of the crazy technology that we live in that is supposed to make it all simple for us. Is it really doing that? We'll come back and talk about how we can reduce our stress in the new year. We'll be right back. All right, we have a minute or two, and our two wonderful guests are with us, Doug and Dr. Jagjit. Please join us.
Well, it's a very interesting topic. I consider it just as a day, but I don't know how to say it, but maybe Ratanjit Singh understands the Punjabi and he can put the things in a right way. Sahib mera neet nama, sada sada datar.
Wow.
So every second, I think that concept, I couldn't speak in English. Sorry for Ray, but Ratanjit Singh have understood it. He can explain it much better.
Good.
And secondly, and the other part is, have we made the new year as more commercial and it is a part of capitalization? And we have made it, that a part is there. And the other part which you spoke about gadgets and other things, are we making our life simple or more complex? So these are the three observations I had in my mind. And in Guru Granth Sahib, we say that every day is the best day when you are in oneness. If you are in oneness, then you are that is the best day for you. Whether it doesn't matter which date it is, which day, time it is, what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Ratanjit, do you want to just talk about that, what he said in Punjabi on the air, or do you want to talk about that quickly? Okay, we're coming back. You'll have to do it on the air.
Okay.
Doug will catch you. Welcome back to Stress-Free Living. Ray Samich with you and Ratanjit Sandhi talking about, well, de-stressing ourselves in the new year and every day. And one of the ways that perhaps we stress ourselves is as we go through the holidays, we try to do certain things for the new year. Is it really realistic for us to still have New Year's resolutions, a new approach to a fresh year when we are caught so much in routines and when time is flying by so quickly for us? We had a chance to interact with our guests, and I have a couple of things that we will talk about in a moment. But Ratanjit, I know that one of our guests there gave some thoughts that I think you wanted to elaborate on.
You know, before I go there, and I basically want to make a very simple point. Our knowledge, or technology, or situations which we are confronted into, circumstances, they are never good or bad. Basically, our intentions, who is controlling them, makes it bad or good. So if everything is all centered around what is in it for me, when you look at every situation, what is in it for me, whether it's going to give me pleasure, whether it's going to give me more recognition, whether it's going to give me some additional tools to make more money. And if that is your intention to look at everything, it becomes really something which enslaves you. And ultimately, we mentioned in many shows that our brain is designed to be efficient. And one portion of brain, whenever you think something constantly, whenever you do something constantly, and this converts automatically into a habit, and you become slave of that habit. And as a consequence of that, ultimately, when we are young and small, and your brain is looking at some new things and changing, but when we are older and you routinely look at everything in the same manner, you do not bring any freshness into this. Nothing is different because you are controlled by the habit of looking into certainty, looking into routine without using your thinking and innovative powers. Because initially, when you have to think something uniquely, it challenges you. So outcome can be good or bad, and you are afraid of being wrong, and then you don't end up doing anything. As a consequence of all this habit, which is constantly park you into having everything which you are familiar with and routine, and everything is focused on. There are people who go to a fancy restaurant and always order the same kind of food. They never tried something different because they're afraid that they may not like it. And as a consequence of that, your human body has only certain nutrient provided to that, whereas different food ends up providing different nutritions. It is good for your human body and good for your psyche and good for your knowing there are different kind of foods which exist. So we basically, when you had the meeting, you conduct the meeting the same way. You have a situation, you always do it very similarly. So ultimately, we become victim of our habits. So as a consequence of that, this habit has converted every new day into routine, every new week into routine, every new month into routine, every new year into routine. We do not see any freshness because these things are created to make a different you, which we fail to do. And there is amazing newness present within you, which we never experience. The you remains stale and predictable. Ray?
Creativity is something that we have talked about so many times over the years, how that is a solution to so many different problems. And stifling the creativity like we seem to have done, and we applaud habits. We talk about how habits determine who we are, and habits, good habits, can be so beneficial to us, but they do stifle creativity. And if we live just a life of habits, a life of routines, especially if they haven't been well chosen, then you could just see why we're bored. You could just see why one day turns into another, So I think we're getting somewhere here. I want to give you one more chance to reflect on some of the comments during the break here, if you want to go there. If not, then I'll go to my next question. Do you want to refer back to what was discussed during the break?
Yeah, one of our wonderful guests made a comment from the scripture of Sikh scripture, and it says, "My God is always new." So ultimately, we have talked on this show this God, which is the power which can do multiple things, is enlivening this human body. And this is always new. So we can never predict the outcome and the intelligence and the knowledge of this power. So when you use this five senses to control and make every decision, which is basically coming out of the human body you're housing, and they will always have the direction of what is in it for me. It is the power which is present within you when you give charge of thinking of this brain to that power that always think, how can I make a difference to the world, to you, to environment, to everybody? So that is where the creativity, the true challenge to the creativity lies. Because when a person who is trying to quit smoking, when he does for her or his own health, so basically doctor has challenged him. A friend of mine, actually, I've given an example. So he went to a doctor and doctor said, look, you have to quit smoking. Otherwise you're going to kill yourself. Say, hey, doc, I love smoking. So everybody has to die. So I died a little earlier. What's the difference? So he never quit smoking. But he was blessed with the angel of a grandchild. And when he would go near her, the grandchild would have an asthma attack because of the smoke. So it happened 3 times, and third time the doctor said that, look, you cannot go near her. He said, my life is without her is useless. So he said, then you have to quit smoking. So this person in his 5 senses wanted to stay in the smoking mode. When it came to making a difference to somebody else, his incentive was higher to quit smoking, and he did quit smoking. So ultimately, when we give control to this real us within us, which is empowering us, the incentive of accepting a challenge and making a difference becomes much higher. And you begin to get rid of your boredom, you become very creative, you become alive again. Ray?
You said that story so many times, but I still love hearing it because it's so powerful. I also have to comment on my God is always new. That expression to me, when we get bored, when we get in a routine with our own lives, when we get stagnant in how we think and how we act, that is such an empowering phrase to realize that whatever divine we believe in has no time, is timeless. And by the nature of being timeless is always new. And so, the same divine power that was there for people that lived thousands and thousands of years ago is still the same divine that's there for people right now and will be there for people who are born tomorrow. So that is a new divine, new divinity. Okay. And yet we settle for less. We settle for being stagnant and bored in a routine when our creator is always new. So that is really a beautiful and a very empowering thought. So I'm grateful that you interpreted that and shared that for us. Let's go back. The thing that I was leading into the last break that we didn't have a chance to do it is you said turning a goal into a mission. And that also leads, I think, to what your story was with the baby and giving up smoking. He didn't want to even bother setting a goal to give up smoking because he didn't want to do it. He just, it wasn't even important enough to him to set as a goal. If he would have set it as a goal, he probably wouldn't have hit it because it wasn't that important to him. But once he had a mission to make sure that that little girl in his life was healthy and that he would enjoy being able to see her being healthy, it changed everything. Should we be choosing more appropriately in our life what our goals are and what our missions are? Should we be giving that some attention? I see goal setting workshops all over, and there's all kinds of journals that you can buy on setting goals and websites for goals, but missions is a whole different level. And I don't see a whole lot of books out there saying, here's how to choose your mission. Is that what we're missing? Are we missing that elevated step of saying what should be our life's mission, our purpose, more than just random goals that we set?
In my way of thinking, the difference between a mission and goal is this. The goal is set by our five senses, which is always have direction, what is in it for me. So I set goals to be healthy. I set goals to be, so the incentive on these are limited. So that's why we set goals and we never achieve them. The mission is set by your inner self. It appeals to you a mission. And remember that example of mothers
Yep.
against drunk driver. So when he converted that mission of saving so many lives from this accident of drunk drivers, became her mission. She did not know how to achieve this. So suddenly the creativity in her followed that incentive to save lives. And as a consequence of that, she was able to pass many laws and able to make drunk driving a criminal incident. And as a consequence of that, we have less deaths because of drunk drivers. And similarly, in life, when we convert a mission, your creativity is available to you. When you convert into a goal, your knowledge remains bookish. I have only this degree, I'm only a physician, I'm only a chemist, I'm only a this, and it remains there. And your goals are always going to be restrictive of you. And mission, you can set outside your expertise and knowledge and wisdom and education, because goal has no boundary but to add highest value to whoever this goal is set. And goal is always inclusive. It's not basically for you, but it is always inclusive for other people. So
The mission.
Mission is.
Right.
So
That's a very meaningful distinction that you have given us there between a goal and a mission. And I think goals used to mean, and I know a lot of people still take them seriously, but they're so overused now. They're so, I don't know. I just don't think that they're taken anywhere near as seriously as they once were. I think that's another part of our world. It's almost become a quick habit. Okay, set my goals for the week, and you almost know going into it, I'm not going to hit most of them. If I hit one or two of them, it'll be a good week. They used to be elevated. They used to be meaningful. I mean, the idea of a New Year's resolution at one point was supposed to be, okay, take the time to really figure out, you're going to have 12 months to accomplish this. Figure out what's really important in your life and make it a resolution. And the joke with that is we all know that by the middle of January, most of those have been abandoned. And that's why you don't really even hear much about resolutions anymore. And I think goals are much the same light as that. So I really like the idea for the new year to talk about understanding our mission, really figuring out, where we are at that point in our life, whether we're 23 or 43 or 63 or 83, what can we do with the upcoming year or years, if God gives us years, and what should be our mission for the next challenges of our life, the next days of our life. Maybe that's the best resolution that we can have at this point for the new year coming, is to figure out what our mission should be. Am I taking that more seriously even than it deserves to be?
No, I think, we will talk in the last segment what should be our
Should take a break. Yes. See, last week you were in charge of the show, and now you wanted to control all the breaks too. So we'll let you do that. My dear co-host, Ratanjit and Ray, last week I was unable to be here if you joined us, and he took over, and so now he's watching the clock too. You don't have to worry about all those things, Ratanjit. We've got you covered. This is stress-free living. No stress, Ratanjit. No stress about the time. We'll make it through no matter what. But we'll go back to our studio and play a couple of quick spots for you, and we'll be right back to wrap up this edition of Stress-Free Living.
Thank you.
Okay. Doug, we didn't hear from you last time. Do you have anything you want to add?
Well, it's all very interesting. I can say that. I keep thinking of my life and goals. And, I don't think I ever set New Year's resolution. I don't think I ever said, this is what I want to get done. Even goals. I don't remember setting goals out, and maybe I have just, I said, I got to get this done this week, or I got to get this done, sometime over the next month, I need to do this. So I suppose those are goals. I just don't ever really consider those as goals. But this discussion is interesting in that it talks about that. And in the beginning, when you talked about new and different things to keep your mind going, you talked about that. I have to give my wife credit for all of that. She's got me out of my shell and said, let's go travel, let's go do this. And then I got to where I like it a lot, so that's all good. I have a new little job. And I don't know if I mentioned that to either one of you, but I work for the Census Bureau doing things. And I got pretty disgusted here with my boss about a week ago. And I told my wife, I said, I am not going to do this anymore. This is ridiculous. I said, Doug, you've told me many times you only do it so you meet interesting people. You're seeing interesting areas around here. That's why you do it. So just settle down and keep meeting those interesting people. So it's fun. It's good. I like it. I like all that new and different things now.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Jagjeet, anything quickly to add?
No, fine, everything okay.
Okay. Appreciate it. All right, we'll come back here. We are back on Stress-Free Living. Ratanjit and Ray, yours truly, Ray Samich, with you on this last show for the year, as we are about to celebrate a new year and trying to make it the very best year for us and for all of you. Ratanjit, let's go to where we ended up there with more about a mission-focused life, as opposed to setting what may be meaningless goals. for many of us, because we really don't pay that much attention to them if we set them at all. So how would we want to do that? How seriously do you think we need to get on defining our mission? I mean, that's could sound like it's pretty life-changing. What do you suggest to do? Do you personally analyze your mission of your life every day or every year?
Ultimately, there's only one mission which encompasses all the other objective of your life. Once you understand the true mission, there is only one mission we can give to this human being. Before I talk about that one mission, I want to mention something totally differently. So when you are parked in your human body mode, which is controlling your brain, basically giving you fear, greed, ego, and insecurities. So at that moment, the poison, there is a definition of poison given by a poet, Rumi, who is a Turkish poet and very famous spiritual poet. So he says, he defines what is poison. Anything that is more than necessary is poison. It may be power, wealth, hunger, ego, greed, laziness, love, ambition, hate, anything, or even technology. So once you are completely controlled by your five senses, this is the definition of poison. Because when you're controlled by five senses, nothing is enough. You want more power, you want more wealth, you want more laziness, you want things automatically to happen, you want more people around you to love you, and you want more and more and more. And suddenly that parts you into the area of poison, because they all become poison. But once you are part in the oneness mode, you are controlled by not your five senses, but your power, which is enlivening you. So then the definition of these things, you do not look for power, you do not look for wealth, you were basically want to create something for a mission to add highest value. So my mission, which makes sense to me, which overpowers all the other missions, is all controlled by adding the highest value. This word highest, businesses talk about adding value. Adding this product adds value. I'm not talking about just adding value. I'm talking about highest value. So that highest value cannot be achieved. So it's a moving target. It's a journey. So you constantly improving your last best. So it is to add the highest value, you are making your best better. How can I make a better this thing for my objective to serve? So ultimately, our objective is to serve the power which is present within each and every one and environment. So how do we serve? By adding the highest value. So that is our only mission. So we do that because we are uniquely designed by nature. We have certain skills that others do not have. We have a certain outlook which others do not have. So using the uniqueness, we add a high value which is different than others. So utilizing your uniqueness, we are able to add the highest value. So that is our only purpose of life. So when we have a new day, new week, new year, we start again. We basically enhance this mission to a next degree. We begin to understand that my purpose is to make my last best better. So that thing never stops. So it is constantly challenging you to learn new knowledge, to learn new technology, to have new skills, because you are constantly adding the highest value. And there is another aspect of adding the highest value. Alone, you can only add certain value. So you have to combine unique talent of other people into this mission of adding the highest value. You become basically a nucleus to bring this mission to people to add the highest value. So your highest value cannot be added by you alone. So it is consistently forcing you to form teams, consistently making you a team player, consistently challenging you into new creativity and new learning and new knowledge, right?
So powerful. So many powerful thoughts in there that you put together. I like what you added there at the end, which is not something that you've always added when you talk about adding the highest value. You do always talk about using our creativity and thinking clearly through what really does make it that highest value, not just adding value, but what the highest is. You have, it's a process, it's a confirmed action that you have to take to be able to accomplish that. But you've added now the oneness factor in there too, saying, okay, for this particular project of adding value, this is going to take more than me. This is going to take, I don't have skill sets in this area. So now you have to reach out to the world and be empowered by others to this particular mission, to add other people's abilities to do the same thing. And that really takes adding the highest value to a whole new level that we really, I don't think, have talked as much about, is creating that teamwork, creating multiple people coming into that process, which of course is oneness, knowing that I'm not alone. I have the entire world at my disposal, and all the talents and creativity in the world is available to me. So I really like how you've added that element there to the ultimate mission, because it's one thing to say, okay, I can do anything, I'm empowered by it. It's something else to realize that I've got billions of people that I have that are resources to me, as well as the divine. And now truly, with what I see and what I know is around me, I can do anything in order to add the highest value. So I think that is, truly a beautiful mission. We've also often talked about it, the highest value as being a habit, but I guess it's much deeper than being just a habit. It truly should be the mission of our life.
Yeah, to consistently ask whether I am adding the highest value or no. How can I make my best better? Who can help me elevate this? So these questions constantly in your mind, and your real mission of life becomes adding the highest value. Real mission of life is serving the power present in everyone. And you can only do that by adding the highest value. So this should be our resolution for the new year and you have to never change that, and it becomes a mission of your life, right?
Which would never become obsolete, right? No matter which months and years go by on the calendar, it would always stay fresh and new and challenging. Ratanjit, thank you very much for wonderful thoughts that you shared with us. We want to thank our special Zoom guest there too for helping us and inspiring us with some of your thoughts. And to all of you, wherever you may be, however you may be watching or listening, we value you, appreciate you. We hope that we have added the highest value to your life. We wish you all a very happy, blessed, joyous, grateful New Year. Ratanjit, thank you again to everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for being with us.
Happy
And remember,
New Year to all. Thank you.
thank you. We're all playing the same game. Have a great day. Okay, we are clear. Dr. Jagjit or Doug, you're welcome to give us any additional thoughts here today. The floor is yours.
I guess this is Doug. My additional thoughts are listening to this all is like, wow. I think that highest value, I keep thinking Ratanjit's highest value is way higher than my highest value. I don't know. I have a feeling that my highest value is I got to go out and shovel two inches of snow off of my sidewalk. I want to get that done today. But his is way higher than that. But it's really good to hear. Of course, I've known Ratanjit for many, many years, and I've always thought he always thought way deeper and higher, if you will, than me. But it's always so interesting to listen to him go through this. And Ray, you always bring it back down to almost my level, so I could really understand what he's talking about. But it's great. I love these Saturday mornings. Maybe that is a goal I set, is to try to come here every Saturday morning and listen to see what you all have to say. And it's a good life. I don't, like I said, don't remember setting goals, but things just happen. You talk about the higher being, and gosh, I think I was led by that and given so many opportunities in my life that I just can't hardly explain all of them. But anyway, it's been a great life, and I love listening to you guys. So I'll let somebody else talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Good to have you. You're welcome here every week. Doctor?
Dr. Jagjit Singh?
Yeah, I think it's for, as I have earlier said, that we live in a world of, we are always, everything is created by the environment and nature and everything. And as I have said that in my earlier, that everything we change with breath, micro level. We are a new person with every breath. And once we are a new person with every breath, and so we might be on a macro level, we might be having the habit, but on a micro level, we are changing. So once we are changing, so creativeness has to come according to that. And once most of the things happen, then we change. So the change is happening every second, every moment. And for that reason, and these New Years are just set as a, as in the earlier starting, Ratanjit Singh said that every day is a new. Every day, if we say, okay, let us say 10th of January, New Year starts for anybody, it starts. We start our fiscal years in many countries as 1st of April. So New Year for everyone is a different, but by human nature, every day, every moment is new. So that if we consider it that way, setting a mission is the fine. Goals, I don't feel it's the, we all should have a mission rather than a goal.
Yeah.
So that is what I feel.
Yeah, mission has far-reaching consequence and just goal.
Yep.
Mission always dictates you to set up goals, and you can call them goals, but they have to serve servient to the mission.
Well, it's so easy to abandon the goals. It's so easy just to say, ah, that's right, I'm not going to get that one done. But if you fail your mission, I think that's still perceived as being pretty serious. Like, oh, I can't fail my mission. I have to do that. So if you resolve to have a new mission, especially for the new year now, or as Dr. Jagshi said, it could happen any given moment, but it's a good time to do it now, since today's December 31st. Resolve that this is my new mission to go forward with and take it seriously. Very good thought.